भस्मात कर देती है, वैसे ही हे अर्जुन, ज्ञान रूपी अग्नि संपूर्ण कर्मों को भस्मसात कर देती है. Meaning, fire turns firewood to ash, self-knowledge turns to ash, all actions of dualities on your mind and brings you inner peace. And hence, we strive with this session to add to your self-knowledge and in turn, your peace. For those of you all who joined in late, I would like to inform you that we had a small networking event at the start, and Ms. Payal Agarwal will be announcing our sponsor questions winners in her vote of thanks post the session. So kindly stay on till the end. In addition, our Flow Indore members, kindly keep your radars on full alert and interact with our speaker, as VK Madhav Mohanji will be asking 3 questions during the course of his talk. The fastest correct answer, where options are a yes or a no posted in the chat box, will win the prize for that question. I would now like to start our session of today's event by inviting our chairperson for her formal address. I now invite Ms. Meetu Kohli to continue with the proceedings. Meetu, please.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. I just wanted to check, has Madhavji joined?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, welcome. A very warm welcome, Madhavji. We couldn't see you actually. And a very good afternoon to all my dear friends. And I hope you all enjoyed our networking quiz. Guys, it amazes me that a book as old as 5,000 years still holds so much of relevance, even in the era of artificial intelligence. This book is mystifying, engrossing, and enlightening at the same time. But how many of us have actually even read about the book to any extent? It is just that most of the time, we always need someone to help and guide us through the various verses of Gita and explain its relevance as per the times. We are so very grateful to Mr. Madhav Mohanji for graciously accepting our invitation to enlighten us into various business management strategies and life skills through the perspectives of Gita. I believe Bhagavad Gita is not just a religious book that people belonging to a particular religion should read, and very soon we would know why. So please gear up everyone and enjoy each moment of this mystical session that would definitely bridge many presumptions and rectify a few myths. Before I hand over, I want to give you a quick preview at our Flow Indore initiatives this week. We have started with our business promotion initiative, the Demo Day, a beautiful platform for our members to showcase their business on Flow Arena Pan India. It will also be broadcasted to the entire Flow Indore fraternity. Do connect with our mentoring and incubation head Anupama Modi to be a part of this. Another wonderful concept we are starting soon is our Flow Indore newsroom. Let's keep ourselves updated before we get outdated. FICCI Flow Indore is launching our very own Flow Indore newsroom, a unique platform to share latest news, updates, and worldwide activities, along with an option to share our views and opinions over the same. An opportunity for members to exchange opinions on various issues and a wider perspective to view the current affairs happening globally. Our committee member Palak Hasagandani will be managing the same. Details will be shared soon. I also want to pass a small message to all my dear members today. Friends, this year is definitely becoming demanding for all of us. But I would appreciate all your cooperation and involvement to create this year into a remarkable success. I am just a phone call away, a call, a message. You can share any of your thoughts, ideas on how do you think we should plan events to have more successful sessions. Flow is all about all of us. So let us all together come forward to make Flow Indore shine brighter and have more learning and fun sessions in spite of all the challenges ahead. Thank you so very much. And over to Rashmi.
Thank you, Meetu, for your flow address. Now, without further ado, let me invite our Vice Chairperson, Ms. Mamta Bakliwal, revealing more on our esteemed speaker of the day, Mr. V.K. Madhav Mohan. Mamta, please.
Thanks, Rashmi. Good evening, Flowites. It is my pleasure to introduce a very distinguished, multifaceted, and learned personality, Mr. V.K. Madhav Mohan. His core strength is his humility with his ocean of knowledge. He is an eclectic combination of multi-domain ideas and skills. He is a unique blend of academics and sports. Mr. Madhav Mohan holds 3 postgraduate degrees, namely MA Economics with gold medal from Loyola College, Chennai, MBA from Cochin University, Master of International Management from Thunderbird School of Management, Arizona, USA. He was also amongst the top 20 junior tennis players in India. He also holds an honorary degree, Yon Dan, in karate. His multidisciplinary academic background and diverse experiences endow him with unique insights that help people and organizations become the best I can be. Mr. V.K. Madhav Mohan is India's first management and leadership mentor. He is a mentor to CEOs and owners of companies ranging from, 400 crores to 37,000 crores, and has acted as a catalyst for growth. He has mentored multitudes of leaders, sports people, creative artists, lawyers, chartered accountants, scientists. He is one of the pioneers in India's IT transformation. He established India's first school computer education and software company in 1984, producing over 1 lakh IT professionals. He has delivered over 5,000 lectures and speeches on leadership, economics, military affairs, geostrategic affairs, spirituality, martial arts, to name a few. He is the author of the book, Lonely at the Top, Reflections of a Mentor, and has published multitudes of articles on economics, management, and related areas. He has won several accolades from Rotary and was appointed as a Senior Distinguished Fellow by Defense Research and Studies. He has served on 2 top-level Reserve Bank of India committees. He was invited by US government as part of the Indian Intellectual Property Rights Delegation. He is an ardent believer that Bhagavad Gita is a handbook for life. It teaches us the secrets to peace and well-being by defining what is important and illuminating a clear pathway through confusion and doubt to absolute clarity. I would like to invite Mr. V.K. Madhav Mohan to enlighten us with the life and business mantras from the revered Bhagavad Gita. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Madhav Mohan. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky Flo, Chairperson Meetu, for inviting me to be here this evening with all of you. And thank you so much, Mamta, for your wonderful words of introduction. Even though I'm a little nervous about being able to deliver on the high expectations that you've just created.
So that is your humility.
I thought I'd share with you a few thoughts and learnings which I have picked up in the course of life, and perhaps share with you a few nuggets of wisdom from the Lord himself. The Bhagavad Gita is not a book. Rather, it can hardly be described in words. It has to be experienced. It is an ocean of consciousness. And I would like to confess in all truth to all of you that I am no expert on the Bhagavad Gita. And why do I say this? I say that because it is such a vast spiritual ocean, and the truths contained in it are jewels of the Brahmand. And the Bhagavad Gita itself is actually the Lord himself. So how can a mere human being become an expert on the Lord himself? And in any case, the concepts and the language and the articulations are just far too grand and scintillating for me to even attempt to try and study it, let alone master it. But having said that, the Lord in his infinite mercy has helped me glean a little bit of understanding insofar as it is useful for me. So I'd like to share that with you. What I have been able to experience and understand with my very limited resources. And I'd like to share that with you. Okay, I won't get into the technical aspects. It's just too big for me to expound or expand or even explain. But I'd like to present a caveat to you. The Gita is not to be approached from an intellectual standpoint. The Gita has to be approached by surrendering completely to the Lord. So Krishnaya Vasudevaya Hareye Paramatmane Pranata Kleshanashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So in order to understand a little bit, we have to walk the path of Bhakti Yoga, which means complete surrender. Because I, for one, cannot answer intellectual questions based on the Gita. I don't have the ability or the knowledge. And from my experience, I would suggest that every one of us approach the Gita from the point of view of surrender. Saint Augustine once very famously said, "Credo ut intellegam" in Latin. Credo ut intellegam. What that means is believe and you shall see. In other words, Saint Augustine said, don't ask for proof that God exists. Just believe in God and surrender to him. And then in his infinite mercy, he will manifest in your life and show you. If you get on with an intellectual exercise of show me why there is God, who is God, where is he, why for, where from, so on and so forth, you'll never ever experience God. That's what Saint Augustine said. And that in fact is one of the stories from Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, who in his very gentle way taught us these wonderful lessons. Once apparently a group of mango specialists were discussing the different kinds of mangoes that are available in an orchard. And Sri Ramakrishna was in meditation, he was listening to it, and he heard all this technical to and fro going on about the size of the mango, the sweetness of the mango, the climatic conditions, the trees and the leaves and so on and so forth. And this was going on for a very long time. Finally, he turned around and told the scientists, this is all very well, but if you really want to know the mango, please go and eat one. So that, I think, is the best way to approach the Lord's teachings. Now, what does this have to do with business? So business is a very, very small kind of concept when you're talking about the grandeur of the Bhagavad Gita. However, businesses are made up of organizations. And profit is to business what oxygen is to an organism. And a business needs people, customers, owners, entrepreneurs, bankers, vendors, partners, all of whom are people who work together to create profit, which then is like oxygen to keep the business alive. So what is it that brings all these factors of production together, like economists say, land, labor, capital, organization, entrepreneurship? These are all factors of production. What is it that brings all of this together to deliver a profit? Answer, pure and simple, is leadership. It is leadership that is like the string on which beautiful pearls are strung to create a necklace. A single pearl is no use, but when it's strung together on a string with other pearls, it becomes a necklace. And that's leadership, the string that holds everything together, provides direction, provides support, reviews, monitors, encourages, inspires, motivates, problem solves. A leader is like a person who climbs up on a tree with a binoculars and looks far out into the distance to see the direction in which everybody is going. As the American leadership expert Warren Bennett once said very famously, management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right thing. So leadership is all about character, about sacrifice, about ethics and values and direction and determination. All that is encapsulated in doing what is right. So when a leader is present, leadership flows out of him like a fountain. And that is what creates profit, which then helps an organization to survive and do well. You can have all the money you want. You can invest millions of dollars. You can have the state-of-the-art plant. You can have your family's 100-year history of success in business. You can have all kinds of stuff, but if you don't have leadership, God help you. So,
Sir, I would like to interrupt in between a little. Sir,
yeah.
Your network is a little lagging. Can we do something about it?
I seem to have full signal here. Are you unable to hear me?
There is a little,
Yeah, we have a little lag, sir. We have a little lag, and even the picture is a little blur.
Hang on, let me see if I can shift the network.
Okay, yeah, please be a bit.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
If we don't have leadership, all the equipment and all the plant and machinery and investment and everything is of absolutely no use. Like I once wrote an article in which I was saying that you put in a lot of money in R&D, it's not going to give you innovation. What really creates innovation is leadership, creating an environment in which ideas can flow freely without fear or favor. That is what leadership does. So, Bhagavad Gita is all about helping human beings refine themselves and become better and better. That's what leadership is also all about. A kind of having a personal kaizen. Every second you try to become better and better as a human being. And then it is axiomatic then that you become a better leader thereafter. So the Bhagavad Gita actually is the Lord's way of telling us how to attain Godhead, which means how to come to Him by becoming better and better human beings. And in that respect, Gita tells you how to become better and better human beings. And if you become a better and better human being, then you become a better leader. And when you become a better leader, your whole approach to life and therefore to business becomes so much more effective. And then your organization flourishes. So that's the whole aspect of leadership and the Gita connected together. Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Sir, really much better.
Much better?
Yeah. It's absolutely fine.
Okay, great. Right. So now I would like to try and share my screen and take you through a few of my thoughts in a reasonably structured manner, and then we'll open it up for questions. Is that okay? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can.
All right. So let's look at some very practical, doable things. Maybe 6 or 7 such practical, doable things which each one of us can internalize and take into our own life, as we go along. And we'll mine these nuggets from the Gita. Oh, how life has changed. A small virus has brought us to our knees. No matter who we are, what wealth we have, what power we have. I was reading the other day that the total amount of the COVID-19 virus that has populated the world, the entire sum total aggregation of the virus can be compressed into a small soda can. And that's enough to put 6 billion people, out of commission. Just imagine. That's how powerful the virus is. That's the Lord's message also. Hey, you human beings, you think you're so great? Yeah, all it takes is this small thing which can't even describe. The size of it cannot even be described. That's all it takes to completely, put you out of business. So when you can't go outside, it's better to go inside. And therefore, the Lord's wisdom is even more relevant today. So relevant. It's as though all of us are like Arjunas sitting in that chariot between the two opposing armies. Karma kshetre, kurukshetre, samaveta, yuyutsava, mamaka, pandavaschaiva. Completely caught up in indecision, fear, uncertainty, stress, paralyzed, don't know which way to go. Are we going to survive next week? Are we going to live another 24 hours? Or are we going to die without oxygen in the next few hours? This is the kind of fear that has taken root of our consciousness. And therefore, what the Lord said on that ancient battlefield is timeless. So before we dive into and get churned up in the healing waters of the Bhagavad Gita, let me share a little background of the Gita with you. Mamta, just give me a thumbs up if you can see, hear, etc. Me too?
Yeah, we can hear. Yeah, but your screen is a little like it's not showing the slides. It's at the
Okay. So, we are struggling in the aftermath of Tokte, the cyclone, which had disabled the power lines and all here for 2 days. Everything came back this afternoon. Things were working very well. So I think this is probably the aftermath of that. But you can't see my screen or what?
No, we can see your screen. It's just that you have to maximize the slides now. We can see your main screen right now.
Yeah. Now let's see what I can do with it. Let me try and fix it a little bit.
Sir, if I may interrupt, you may have to start the presentation and then select that screen on the screen share.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah, now we can see.
10 out of 10 for tech support, Mamta. So let me just sketch a little background. Krishna says, chapter 7, verse 25, Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavrita mudhoyam nabhijanati loke mam avyam mam ava mam ajam avyayam. So basically he's saying that, look, I'm not visible to everybody. And because I'm not visible to everyone so easily, fools in the world think that I'm not present. But actually I'm present everywhere. It's like, imagine the Lord standing behind these in a dimly lit room with a bamboo curtain. You can just about make out a form beyond the curtain. But in order to see the form, you have to penetrate. You have to really see very carefully, look very carefully, and then you'll discover it. So I'm there. You may not see me, but that's your problem. I'm there. That's one part of it. And then he says, Naham Veder na tapasa, na danena na che ijjaya, sakya evam vidho drishtum drishtvan asimam yatha. Listen, you think you can fool me by doing all pujas and all kinds of grand ceremonies? You think you can study the Vedas and become intellectually very evolved? You think you can salve your conscience by doing a lot of charity? All that is not going to make you see me and internalize me. That's not how you're going to come to me. All that is good. But I cannot be seen in this form. And you can't understand who I am just by doing all that. And please understand, Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam Hetu Nanena Kaunteya Jagat Viparivartate. Please understand, I am the chairman who's running the entire universe. Everything, even a small leaf, moves under my guidance. O son of Kunti, Kaunteya, son of Kunti, I'm the one who's the controller, who's the director. I'm everything, nothing happens without my knowledge. Please understand. I'm not visible, but everything happens under my watch, on my watch, under my guidance, under my direction, under my control. And I create and I annihilate. And this cycle goes on. Just like what you see in the universe. Worlds are being created and destroyed primordially. Apichet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadhureva samantavya samyoga vyavastito hisa. And this is a message of hope that I'd like to give all of you, says the Lord. You may be the worst sinner, no problem. Don't think that I am a vengeful presence in the universe. No, I'm ever forgiving, ready to accept you. You take one step towards me, I will take 7 steps towards you. So even if you have committed all kinds of sins, you just have to think of me and chant my name, and I forgive you and I will take you towards me. So even the vilest sinners, if they come to me with devotion, I forgive them, I will take them to Vaikuntha with me. And this is where I want to tell you the story of somebody who lived about 750 kilometers northeast of you. Since all of you are in Indore, this person used to live 750 kilometers northeast of you in Kannauj. His name was Ajamila. He used to live many thousand years ago. And Ajamila was a very, very devout Brahmin. But along the way, he got carried away by lust. And he went on a different path altogether where he did everything that he's not supposed to do. And lived a life of complete opposition to everything that he had been brought up with. And he gambled, he did this, he did that, etc., etc., etc. But he had 10 children. I won't get into the details of what all he did because he led a very colorful life. Let's put it that way. But he had 10 children. And the youngest child was named Narayana. Narayan. And he had done just about everything that a human being could possibly do, which was in opposition to what was taught in the Vedas. And then when he was about to pass away, Yamraj's people came to take him. And at that time, just as he was passing away, he was completely overcome by fear and stress and all that. And this youngest son of his was his favorite son, Narayan. And just as he was passing away, he called out, Narayan, 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 because he wanted to see that son of his. But because he said Narayan, Narayan, the Lord himself forgave him for everything and told Yamraj and his people that you are not taking him, I am taking him. I'm taking him to Vaikuntha. You are not taking him to Patal. And so Ajamila went straight to Vaikuntha. Even though he was a sinner, he called the name of the Lord only because his son was named Narayan. But even so, just uttering the word Narayan gave him moksha. So the background teaching in the Gita and indeed the Srimad Bhagavatam is that the Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam are auditory forms of the Lord. So if you chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, that is the Lord in audio form. And in his presence, nothing bad can happen. So the teaching is, I'm there everywhere, I'm all powerful. You can't get me through study or intellect or charity. You can only get me by surrendering. And even if you are the worst sinner, you chant my name you come straight to me. So that is why chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is so very, very crucial for us. So that at the moment when we are giving up our bodies, if we are in the chant, the Lord says, I will take you straight to me, to my lotus feet. So that's the background. Okay. And now let's see what little nuggets we can mine from the Gita. First of all, stop pretending to be a pygmy when you're actually a giant. Each one of you, each one of us is some 200 feet tall, but we think we are very small. We don't have any capabilities. That's what Krishna says in verse 3, chapter 2. Klaibyam mas magama partha na etatvai upapadyate chudram hridaya daurbalyam tyaktotishta parantapa. He says, Arjuna, don't be like this important human being. By being paralyzed, oh Partha means son of Pritha, Kunti. You are not important. And this importance, na etat tvayi upapadyate, this does not suit you, Arjuna, pretending to be important when you're actually a very, very huge, big, powerful human being. So this chudram hridaya daurbalyam tyaktotishta parantapa. He says, this weakness of heart, give it away, push it aside, and stand up, stand tall. Show spine. You have a spine of titanium. Stop pretending you have a spine of jelly. Because after all, you are Parantapa. Parantapa is another name for Arjuna. That means scorcher of enemies. Tapa. You burn your enemies. And who are these enemies? He's actually talking about fear, jealousy, insecurity, nervousness, stress, indecision, the internal enemies, attachment to sensual aspects. He's not really talking about an enemy outside. These are all internal enemies and you're paralyzed by them. Arjuna, you are a giant. You are a reflection of me, myself, and my grandeur. So stop pretending to be a pygmy. You have infinite resources inside you. Each one of you, Mamta, Rashmi, me too, all of you have infinite resources inside you. Stop pretending to be a pygmy when you're actually a giant. It's a great validation for each one of us. And it is from here that all these entry-level cliches like sky is not the limit, etc., have been derived. But this is the mother of all the teachings. Klaibya mas magama partha na etattvai upapadyate chudram hridaya daurbalyam tyaktotishta parantapa. So stand up. There is nothing you cannot do. That's wisdom number one. Wisdom number two is tolerate. And then you can overcome. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukhadukkada agama apayino anityastham titikshasva bharata. So he says, just let everything touch you and then go back, because whatever has come to you will also go. Whatever experiences you are in right now will also go. Like the Bible says, this too shall pass. Everything passes. Shita, Ushna, summer, winter, summer, Sukha, Dukkha. All these things are Agama. They're all things that come to us. Because they come to us, they're temporary, they will also go. Like grief comes, hard to handle. And people who have gone through grief will say this is all very easy and theoretical. The pain is real. But even that pain may not heal. may not be so debilitating after the elapse of time. So the grief which is all powering now today, when we have lost so many loved ones, is hanging heavy in our hearts. Take heed from what Krishna says. This has come. You will experience it. It will hurt. But in that hurt, you will find a way forward. Because after all, you are infinite. And this is part of the journey that each one of us has to take in our journey towards perfection. All the loved ones we have lost have changed their form, but they are with us in memories. So the form has changed. The memories are constant. When you are happy, nobody asked, why me? Why me? Why me? Why am I so happy? But when painful things happen, everybody says, why me? That's what Krishna says. Sukha and dukkha come and go. That is the inevitable cycle in everybody's life. They come and they go, and they come and they go. Somebody passes away, a new baby is born somewhere. Somebody passes away, a new baby is born somewhere. The cycle goes on. And this is part of being in this world. So just tolerate, he says. Just tolerate it. That is the word titiksha. Just tolerate. Just tolerate. And know that this too will pass. Bharata, which is another name for Arjuna. Because remember, all this is impermanent. Everything is impermanent. The only permanent thing is the truth. That's me. Everything else is impermanent. So just tolerate and you will overcome. Today it's become a fashion for everybody to do yoga, power yoga, gym yoga, all kinds of yoga, online classes flourishing. Everybody is into yoga of some kind of yoga, which is good. But the technical definition of yoga is what Krishna says in chapter 2, verse 48, says, Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya asiddhya samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. See, this is the whole concept of balance and equipoise. If Meetu's bank account is overdrawn terribly, then Meetu's effort is to bring that balance back to the regular limits, right? If you're thirsty, it means you as an organism, the level of moisture in your organism is less, and therefore there is a drive within you at a very physiological level to correct the imbalance of water, and that generates thirst with which you drink water, and then your balance is restored. When you're hungry, that is a signal that your body needs nourishment. There is an imbalance. You eat and the balance comes back. So if you're riding a bicycle, if you lean too much to one side, you may fall. So you automatically correct and come back to center line. If you're playing tennis, you're off position and then you come rushing back to the center position so that you can move in any direction, right? If you are doing martial arts or in yoga, you always come back to balance, lower your center of gravity and be in balance so that you can move in any direction, that you can be flexible. So this concept of balance is crucial in everything. And that's what Krishna teaches us. Be balanced, be equipoised. Do everything in balance. So he says, Yogastha kuru karmani. Do everything in yoga, Arjuna. And do all your work and all your duties without attachment to success or failure. And such equipoise is what I call yoga, says Krishna. When you're equidistant from success and failure, you're not affected by either success or failure. Your feet are on the ground, your center of gravity is low, your sthita prajna, as he says, you are, established. Nothing shakes you because you're neither too excited by success nor you're too depressed by failure, because these two, as Churchill once very famously said, treat those two imposters, success and failure, the same. So he says, Yogastha Kuru Karmani Sangam Tyaktva Dhananjaya Siddhya Asiddhya Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. The definition of yoga, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Equipoise is what is called yoga. To be in equipoise. Don't be like a gyrating stock market. In statistics, we say fit a line of best fit between all the points. Fit a line. So don't get too caught up in excitement or depression. Either way, just be calm, relaxed, peace, balanced, equipoised. And then many of us have such big egos that our egos get into the room 2 hours before we reach the room. Haven't you seen people like that? Whose egos come into the room 2-3 hours before they actually come in. Swollen heads, as we call them. Remember what the Lord says. He says, Rasoham apsu kaunteya prabhasmi shashi suryayo pranava sarva vedeshu shabdah ke paurusham nrishu. So this is a very interesting sloka. It's a great teaching for anybody whose head is getting swollen. This is a wonderful, timely reminder. Krishna says, see Arjuna, Kaunteya, son of Kunti, I am the taste in the water. Very interesting choice of phraseology. He's not saying I am the water, which of course he is. He's not saying I am the water. He's saying I am the taste in the water. Look at the subtlety of the whole thing. I am the taste in the water. I am the light of the sun and the moon. I am the light. Prabhasmi Shashi Suryayo. I am the light of Shashi, moon, Suryayo, sun. I am the light. I am the word Om, which is C flat major, which you will find in the whole universe. I think it's B flat major, the sound of the universe. Om. I am the word, the sound, Om. That is found in all the Vedas and all the words and concepts found in the Vedas. I am K. I am the ether, K. I am ether. And then that last phrase, that's the killer phrase. Paurusham Drishu. He says, I am the competence in human beings. I am the competence. In other words, you built a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. Okay, great, fine, good, super leadership, but it's actually me working through you. I am the one who is the competence that's flowing out of your mind and body and thoughts and actions. So remember, it's me. You are just an instrument of my divinity. Nimitta matra. You are just a tool, an instrument through whom I work, so don't get swollen headed. And strangely, I have this great belief that spirituality is all common. Spirituality unites, religion divides. It's this very famous prayer of Saint Francis of Assisi, where he says, Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Make me an instrument of thy peace. May flow through me so that I can create peace. Paurusham Rishu. I am the competence in human beings. So every time you start getting delusions of grandeur that you're this and you're that, remember, That is all Krishna's grace flowing through you. And that will remind you to keep your feet planted squarely on the ground. And then you will be teachable. Then you will have the ability to take feedback, take input. And then you'll do wonders. Then as leaders, you have to lead by personal example, because he says, Yad yad acharati shreshtas tad tad devetaro jana sayat pramanam kurute lokas tad anuvartate. So, role models must model the role. If you are the leader, people will follow what you do or don't do. If you violate COVID protocols, everybody around you is going to violate COVID protocols. Kautilya said this 300 years ago. He says, Yatha Raja Tatha Praja. Like the king, so are the people. Every organization is a reflection of the leader. All the leaders' behaviors and ifs and buts are going to be reflected, amplified, and replicated throughout the organization. If you are arrogant, your subordinate will be arrogant in his team. And arrogance will flow right down your organization. If you are humble, you want to learn, you're sincere, you're ethical, because you are sincere, ethical, decent, humble, you want to learn, you want to improve, you're committed to better customer service. If you as the leader embody all these things, down the line, everybody will follow the same thing. So he says, Yad yad acharati shreshtas tad tad devetaro jana sayat pramanam kurute lokas tad anuvartate. So what the leaders do, what people in positions of authority do, everybody else follows. So you have to lead by example, personally. And I'll round off with the ultimate secret of human behavior, far more advanced and far more relevant than any HR research paper. Okay. What Krishna said, as me too pointed out, 5,100 and odd years ago. These are two slokas actually. Chapter 2, verse 62 and 63. Dhyayato vishayan pumsa sangas teshu pajayate. Sangat sanjayate kama, kamat krodho bijayate. Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhrama, smriti bhramshat buddhinasho, buddhinasho pranashyati. Buddhinashat pranashyati. So it's a flow chart actually, and I'll just take you through that. Okay. So broadly, the meaning is, while contemplating objects of the senses, attachment happens, and from attachment flows all the negative stuff. And finally, you get ruined. And we'll see that in a detail in a minute. This is the other sloka which I just chanted. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. But before that, let me give you some conceptual clarity. A lot of people think detachment is indifference. Detachment is not indifference. Why? Detachment is the opposite of attachment. That's it. And therefore, detachment is love. Funny concept, right? Let's see what it all means. So if detachment is the opposite of attachment, and anyway, Krishna says, Dhyayato vishayan pumsa, sangat. So attachment is the starting point of all the problems in life. So let's see what is attachment. Putting conditions. Raising expectations. You should be like this, you should be like that. Why are you not like this? You put a person in the prison of your expectations. Possessiveness, you belong to me and me alone. Jesus said, judge ye not, for who are ye to judge? Let him cast the first stone who has not sinned. Who are you to judge anyone? Have you not sinned? What gives you the right to say, he is this, he is that? Have you cleaned up your act first? Selfishness. And you know why all this happens? It becomes because people who are attached generally have low self-esteem. And what does that create? It creates a focus on me and my esteem. If my self-esteem is very low, I focus exclusively on myself and my needs. The rest of the world is very fuzzy to me. What does that create? Insecurity. It creates jealousy. It creates bondage. Creates fear. Creates stress, pain, and complete toxicity. So you see, a lot of people are walking, talking, toxic dumps. Haven't you seen people who are very toxic? They're finding fault, they're judging others, they're gossiping, they're saying bad things, they're doing everything that makes you want to run away from them. This, in fact, is the meaning of Krishna. The technical meaning is Akarshayati iti Krishna. One who attracts is Krishna. Why would you want to spend 5 minutes with somebody? You'd want to spend 5 minutes with somebody if he or she gives you love, acceptance, encouragement, inspiration, ideas, knowledge, skills, solutions, embraces you without conditions, right? Is not possessive, has tremendous skills, is a person who's always learning and wanting to share. Therefore, that person becomes attractive and you want to spend time with such a person. Whereas a person who's always finding fault, dwelling on problems, not solutions, criticizing, defensive, angry, jealous, possessive, why do you want to spend time with them? No, you won't, because it's such a toxic person. You know, like nuclear radiation. Person is spewing negativity, radiates and contaminates everything that he or she comes in contact with. That's toxicity. So therefore, what is love? You know, there's a very famous book called Man's Search for Meaning. It's written by Viktor Frankl, who was a psychiatrist who was imprisoned in Auschwitz, Nazi death camp. It's a marvelous book for anybody who wants to grow personally. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. It's a small book. Frankl's definition of love is, by the way, this is a person who saw his wife and child and everybody he loved being killed in front of his eyes. He himself was tortured. You know, the Nazis killed 6 million Jews. 1.5 million of them were killed in Auschwitz, where Frankl was sent, and he escaped. He was one of the very few people who escaped after the war. He was freed. And this book, Man's Search for Meaning, comes from his deepest consciousness of suffering. And in that he says, love has nothing to do with me. Love has everything to do with the beloved, the person I love. It's not about me. It's about the person I love. Love is wanting the very best for the person you love. It's got nothing to do with you. So love is unconditional acceptance, self-esteem, encouragement, selflessness. So the focus is entirely on loved ones and his or her needs. Not about you. It's about the other person, the object of your love, the person you love. And so when you do that, When you shift the focus from me to the loved one, what happens? Magic happens. There is security. There is motivation. You know, the technical definition of the word motivation. Motivation comes from the Latin movere, that which moves from within. That's what you create. You create that feeling of wanting to excel in the person whom you love. Freedom, confidence. You build a person's confidence. You enable that person to exercise his freedom or her freedom. And then there is peace, and there's pleasure, and there is nourishment. And the sum total of all this is what we call happiness. And so, from that point of view, from this background, let's understand dhyayato vishayan pumsa sangaste shupajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodho bijayate krodhat bhavati sammoha sammohat smriti vibrama smriti bramshat buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati. And let's take a look at this flow chart. First, there is attachment or sangha. We saw what attachment was all about, right? Earlier, conditions, etc., etc., expectation, judgment, so on. There is attachment. Attachment creates desire or lust. Lust or desire is not bad, but when it takes on a life of its own, it's like a nuclear bomb. And when you don't get the object of your lust or your desire, whatever it may be a very good cup of masala chai, which you're desiring right now, you don't get it. Anger flares. Krodha. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. When you're angry, perceptual dissonance happens. Your perceptions of everything and everybody changes because you're not thinking straight. Delusion happens when you're angry. And when that happens, you forget your memories. You forget who has done, this person with whom you're angry. You forget that out of 10,000 times you've interacted with her, 9,999 times she has really done wonderful work with you, has been there to support you. There's one time when you want her, she's not there. You forget those 9,999 times and dwell on this one time. All your memory of wonderful past experiences is gone. Smriti Vibhrama. Smriti Vibhramat Buddhinasha. When your memory of all the good experiences is gone, then your ability to discriminate, analyze, interpret goes. And then you make all the wrong decisions. Your decision making goes into a tizzy. You lose clarity. You lose sight of what is really truly important. You'll do what is expedient. You'll do the easy thing, which is wrong, and you will not do the right thing, which is hard. And because of those decisions, you suffer ruin. Pranashyati. So, attachment, lust, anger, delusion, memory, bewilderment, loss of intellect, all of which contributes to your ruin. So this is the flow chart. So it all starts with that first box, attachment. Learn to work on attachment. And we saw what attachment does. When we replace attachment with detachment and love, this cycle is broken. That's when all your relationships starts to bloom. When you start blossoming as a human being and you become better and better, you become attractive. That's when things start happening around you and with you. And so finally, Krishna gives you hope. Says, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Aham tuam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shucha. He says, why are you worrying about everything? Don't worry. Surrender to me. I will look after you. Just chant my name. I will protect you. Just say Hare Krishna with devotion, and I will be your Raksha Kavach. Forget everything. You don't like in business, by the way, the amount of profit and survivability is inversely proportionate to the length of the channel and intermediaries. You don't need intermediaries. Don't have a long channel. Why do you have intermediaries? Come straight to me. I'm available to you 24/7. You just have to say Hare Krishna and I'm there. So that's it. That's about it. And now, if you have any questions, I'll be delighted to take them if I know the answers. Otherwise, we'll explore them together.
Yes. Yeah, Mr. Madhavji, really thankful to you for such an enlightening and thought-provoking session. These wisdom nuggets have left a deep imprint on our minds and will really help us in taking the right decisions in these difficult times. Thanks for taking us through this illuminating journey, which has motivated us to do self-retrospection and I'm sure would guide us to become better human beings and business women. We would now like to open up for the audience questions. I'm sure the Flow women are really looking forward to get solutions to their queries. Anyone who would like to ask questions can raise their hands in the Zoom platform and we will invite you to ask your questions. Till the time people are raising their hands or they are coming up with their questions, I would like to ask one question from my end also. Madhavji, you have explained so much about all detachment, etc. Now, I have one question. Like in today's world of reasoning and cutthroat competition, how do we really justify Bhagavad Gita's quote of karm karo, phal ki chinta na karo to today's young business generation who always just are very materialistic?
Yeah, it's very simple actually. This whole concept of results, right? Well, I don't think anyone will disagree when I say that results are what determine sustainable success, right? Results. Can you deliver? Can you deliver on time, on spec, not just once? On time, on spec, all the time, every time is what will make sure that as a professional, as a company, you do well, right? Results. Ultimately, it's very binary. If you don't deliver results, you don't survive. So then the question is, how do you deliver results? You deliver results by total focus on the process, what you're doing. If you're coding, making sure that the logic is right and the code and the language is right, the comma and full stop in the right place. So in other words, attention to detail equals error-free output. What I call, that's my mantra, ATD equals EFO. Attention to detail equals error-free output. So when you are doing that, there is no scope for shortcuts or compromises on quality or ethics. And by the way, if you focus on ethics, you will be much more profitable. So from that point of view also, there's plenty of empirical evidence to show that companies which are ethical have a much higher brand value, have much higher market caps over a period of time, and their reputation is sustainable. And look at it this way, in your own Ficky Flow community, why would you do business with somebody? He or she may be a member of Ficky Flow, but he or she has a reputation for honesty, integrity, fairness, result orientation, delivery, quality. Would you like to do business with that person? It's a very simple question. Yes or no?
Yes,
Like
with
the Tata
quality and
Group, as
honesty.
like Bela just said, like the Tata Group. But on the other hand, there is someone who's dishonest, doesn't pay taxes, fudges GST returns, collects GST but does not remit, overprices, overpromises, under delivers, doesn't deliver on time, is not reliable, doesn't pick up the phone, doesn't reply to your calls. Would you like to do business with such a person? No. So, QED, therefore, there is no alternative to walking the straight path.
Yeah, sure, sir. Thank you so much. IT team, can you please unmute Madhavi? She also would like to ask a question. She has raised her hand.
And somebody asked for that love chart to be shown again. I'll do that a little later as before we finish. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, hello, sir. Thank you for such an enlightening session. My question here is, how do we like get ourselves away from people who are toxic? As you mentioned that there are people who are very toxic, and if you have a relation with that person and you think that it is your duty to look after them, and yet you feel the toxicity, what can be the solution for this?
Yeah, this is a very common predicament that we find ourselves in, right? When it comes to toxic people. First question, ask yourself a very hard question. Are you toxic?
Okay.
If you have to ask that hard question. And if you think maybe you are toxic, then work on eliminating the toxicity yourself. Polish it. Keep polishing yourself every day so that you start gleaming like a mirror, you know, shining. So that's one. Second, when it comes to a toxic presence, you have two ways of putting distance. A physical distance. Sometimes that's not possible because this toxic presence may be in your own family. It can even be your father, your mother, your brother, your sister, your husband, your daughter, your son, whoever. Sorry to say, toxic people are often the people in your immediate periphery.
Yes.
Hard to admit, but truth is always hard. So when you recognize toxicity, putting physical distance with such a person who is so close to you may be virtually impossible. In such a case, try and put psychic distance. I won't even say emotional distance. I'll say psychic distance. What do you do then? Start chanting. Take up the practice of chanting so that whenever there is a toxic presence around you, the chanting by itself will dissipate the toxicity. Get into a discipline of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra all the time. And then what will happen over a period of time is when you're chanting, you will stop reacting, first of all. And when somebody says or behaves in a nasty manner, you won't react, or your responses will be much more mild tempered, and you will stop getting affected by the toxic person's behavior and words, because the chanting is protecting you. And when all that happens, you start becoming more loving, more patient, more understanding. Remember, what comes goes. You start being more patient. Suppose you start becoming more loving, more understanding. Will that create a difference over a period of time? Yes. That's the way to do it. Hard. I never said it will be easy. It's possible. It's a better way of living.
Yeah. I hope, Madhavi, this has answered your question very well. Yeah. IT team, can you please unmute Anusha so that she can ask her question? Anusha Jaisingani.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question. You have mentioned in the chart, which started with the attachment and which ended with the ruinism. So what do you suggest? Shouldn't we attach to our business also? Or that attachment was with the relation?
Yeah, that's actually, Anusha, I must thank you for that. That's actually a brilliant question. That's absolutely a brilliant question, especially to a bunch of business people. See, this is a very big mistake people make about getting attached to your business. If see the whatever the Lord taught us about attachment is equally true when it comes to being attached to your business. So when you are attached to your business, what happens?
Excess of everything?
Yeah.
Overindulgence?
Exactly. Exactly. You can't see beyond yourself.
Yeah.
You don't see the organization. You don't see the needs of the people around you. You don't see the strengths of your team. You don't see your customers. You're exclusively obsessed with making profit. And if you're obsessed like that, you will be like the fool that Kalidas talks about in one of his plays. The fool who sits on the branch of a tree and is cutting the branch. So your decisions will all become short-term, expedient, totally transaction oriented. You become transaction oriented and not relationship oriented. You will not reach out when people need help. You'll be selfish. And the more selfish you are, the more toxic you become. The more toxic you become, the poorer leader you become. If you're a poor leader, attrition in your business goes up. People never leave the cliche again. People never leave an organization, they leave their bosses.
That would lead to a wrong decisions also.
Yes. So I always suggest to business owners like all of you, if you are a business owner, think of your business as a separate living organism, a living entity. It's a separate living, breathing organism with its own needs, with its own parameters of survival. Put that emotional distance between you and the business. In fact, I'll throw a challenge. What if somebody's got a business, say 50 crores? Okay. If someone gives you 100 crores or 200 crores, will you sell it and walk away? Do you have the ability to sell it and walk away?
I would rather prefer to work on my own personal business, work hard and grow that business instead.
Yeah. And see, I'm just saying, so that grow the business. Yeah. And you grow the business, and in that growth, you grow. Right? That's the connection. I'm saying if you put this thought like, okay, I will sell this company. See, even your children, they're part of you. They grow up. You give birth to them, right? You nourish them, nurture them. They grow up. And then one day they leave home, right?
Yes.
It's necessary for them to leave home to grow and blossom and lead their own lives, right? Businesses are like that too. Sometimes you have to let it go. We can talk about this for hours. It's a favorite subject of mine.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for explaining it so well. Chetna, can you please ask your question? Yeah, IT team, please unmute Chetna.
Yes. So can you hear me?
Yes, very much. Very well.
It was a very enlightening session by you. So I just wanted to ask you, how can Bhagavad Gita be beneficial for small children and teenagers? Because these days we find them very aggressive, and due to the current situation also, and earlier also, I think we are not paying much attention to what they actually want. So how can that be beneficial according to Krishna's preaching? Because we are somewhere teaching them to be rich, not to be very happy.
So, yeah, there are two parts to my answer. First part is, of course, those 6 or 7 lessons we can internalize and explain it to them. That's the easy part. That's the easy part of the answer.
Okay.
The hard part of the answer is, can Chetana and Mamta and Madhav Mohan and Meetu be the walking, talking examples of how we want our children to be? Like the parent, so the child.
And so parents can also make mistakes. That is where we have to be correct.
Correct. You can make mistakes. Who says there's nobody on this planet who's never made a mistake, and it's not possible. It's not the making a mistake is not the important thing, Chetna. How you respond after making the mistake is what is crucial.
Teach.
Are you covering up? Are you denying? Are you looking at a mistake as a dent on your self-esteem, on your confidence, or are you looking at a mistake as a learning opportunity, as an input on how to make yourself better, how to understand what went wrong and then fix it?
So as a person, I've always learned from my failures. And that is what I've tried to teach my kids.
Correct. And it was very interesting. You said failures. Okay. Yeah. Research shows that really successful people never refer to failures. They don't view things as failures. They say setbacks, challenges, mistakes, a different way of doing things, etc. So don't label it as failure, because the minute you say failure, your own association, your own mental association is one of negativity, low self-esteem, etc.
Yeah.
It's like Thomas Alva Edison discovered. I mean, he when he did the bulb, he found 9,999 ways of how not to make a bulb.
But still he discovered.
And then the 10,000th time he made it.
Yeah.
So that's the way to approach it, actually.
Yeah, very true.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Chetna. Yeah, I hope your query is resolved. Yeah, now I would now like to ask IT team to unmute Shruti Purohit. She has a question.
Good evening, sir. It was really wonderful listening to you. And my question to you is, like, we keep getting manipulated while practicing our businesses. So how to take this in from Bhagavad Gita's perspective, how to keep cool and still move on with it?
Like he says, Yogastha Kuru Karmani Sangam Tyaktva Dhananjaya Siddhya Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Samatvam. Be balanced. See, now if you are the CEO, right? I presume you are the owner of a business, right?
Yeah.
Now, understand the concept. I call it, in fact, that's the first chapter in my book. I call it the strategic vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
See, Shruti is the CEO. She's the business owner. Now, Shruti is a wonderful person. Okay. This has nothing to do with Shruti as a person. But there is a phenomenon that happens in virtually all businesses and organizations. And this is how it goes. When you're the boss, everybody around you, below you, has figured out what you want to hear and what makes you, quote, happy. Okay. All your employees, all your collaborators, I mean, especially employees, they have figured out what makes Shruti happy. What does she like to hear? And so, even though Shruti is always wanting the fact, and Shruti is a very equipoised leader, not affected by too many things. Even though Shruti is like that, people have figured out what she wants to hear, and they'll be feeding Shruti what they think Shruti wants to hear. After a while, without Shruti herself knowing, Shruti is expecting to hear some things. And so they'll say, Oh, Shruti, you're looking very nice today. You're very competent. Ah, what analysis, Shruti. What a fabulous decision you made. Wow, fantastic. This, that, and the other. Ma'am, आपने जो क्या कमाल करके दिखाया. After a while, Shruti starts believing it. Okay. Now, this is what people are telling you. But the reality is different. Actually, Shruti is making all kinds of mistakes. Nobody's telling her that. Customers are not happy. Suppliers are not happy because payables are stretching too much. Receivables are stretching too much also because the guys who are collecting the receivables are not making the calls on time. The CFO is not doing his job. And nobody's telling Shruti this because these are unpleasant things. And then the cycle, funds flow cycle tightens up and tightens up. And one day there is a severe cash crunch. This is what happens, you know. This is what happens. So you have to learn how to put an arm's length and look at it from a different perspective and make decisions based on kind of arm's length distance. Like, this organization is not an extension of you. This is a living being organization or organism. It has its needs. So let me stand aside and see how I can support and nurture it. Start thinking like that.
My question is also from the perspective from other businesses. Like, there are so many malpractices happening around. In the profession, you have to compete with others.
Yeah.
And some get some kind of success with some sort of manipulation. And if because of your standards of practices and whatever, you don't get, say, suppose you're not successful. So it definitely hurts. It could hurt me as the face of the company. It could hurt the entire team of the organization, and that is when things become a little unpleasant or critical to further move ahead.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes you lose an order because you didn't bribe the the purchase head in the other company.
Yes.
Well, I mean, let's put it very bluntly. One has seen enough of this, right? Some guy who didn't send a ticket to that guy's and his wife to go for a jaunt somewhere. You didn't do that. So while your products were top class, your price was competitive, you didn't buy a bottle of scotch for the guy. Okay. He didn't give you the order. Shruti, this is where your character is going to be tested. You must have the courage to say, so be it. So be it. This is how you strengthen your own brand. If you don't do these things, then your brand gets strengthened. Your brand gets strengthened over a period of time. And if your brand is strengthened, your price also will be high, your margins will be higher. But that's the whole point of branding, right? You create a brand because you get a premium. So you get a premium. You want a premium for your business, you have to earn it by creating your brand. How do you create a brand? By being very straight. So people will say, if you want to deal with Shruti, then no hera-feri is going to work with her. Isn't it? And then look at it this way at a personal level, Shruti. You can sleep comfortably at night. I think that is successful. That is success. Yes. And if you didn't get an order and the competitor got an order by bribing, I don't call that success.
Very true. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I have one more question from Roli Gupta. For a beginner, can you suggest a Bhagavad Gita to read and understand and explore?
Well, first of all, everybody is a beginner. So one Guru, Guru Eknath Ishwaran, he writes beautifully well, very simple. Bhagavad Gita for Daily Living by Eknath Ishwaran. Eknath, Eknath Ishwaran, Eswaran. He writes so beautifully. He's written some 40 books. He is an expert on also Christianity and Buddhism, and he's written about the Dhammapada. He's written about the imitation of Christ and all kinds of stuff. And he's written Bhagavad Gita. He's written Upanishads. He's written all these things. So if you start reading Eknath Easwaran, you'll get a feel for it, and it's so simple, very endearingly told stories in the simplest of languages, but very, very enchanting.
Thank you, sir.
Mamtaji, I think Vibha had a question to ask. Can we unmute her?
Yeah.
Neetu, I forgot your questions.
Sir, I am also waiting for this question, and everybody else was.
Yeah.
But I did not find it right to interrupt you in the middle. It was so interesting.
Yeah,
Vibha,
you want
can
me to ask?
Yeah, Vibha.
Yeah, after Vibha, yeah.
It was really interesting listening to you, a different perspective altogether. Sir, I want to know, like what Anusha said, how do we not get attached to our business? So if we are passionate about our work, I think how do we distinguish passion and attachment? And it automatically, I guess, you automatically get attached to it if you are passionate about it.
Yeah, so just take off the word passionate and say committed to excellence. Very simple. You're committed to excellence in whatever you're doing. As
It does
joint
not
secretary.
happen. It does not happen in every case. It is for particular cases. Like if I like my work, I am committed to excellence, and that is what we call passion.
No, that's a difference. That's the point. So that is exactly the point. I'm glad you brought it up. When you're passionate about something, what happens is you're not equipoised. You're not able to step aside and see the larger picture. You're not able to see the mistakes because passion is emotion, excitement, a feeling of wanting to do something all the time. You're not able to stand aside and see where are the mistakes, what decisions can we take to correct the situation, what is the reality, what people are telling me, what is the gap between the two, what is the truth, and what is the exaggeration. These things I'm not able to see when I become too passionate. Whereas if you're committed to excellence, you'll take this different mindset. This is one of my favorite original thoughts. It's not whether it's your idea or my idea. It's the best idea I want. That is commitment to excellence. You see the difference between the two?
Yeah. Yes,
That's
I get it. Thank you, sir. I also have one more question. When we talk about downsizing our team, how does Geeta explains that? Because that really brings the guilt while firing someone. So how do we see that? How do we do that, in fact? But that's
why
the part of the business.
are you talking about downsizing, or are you talking about separating somebody for consistent non-delivery and poor
I guess
performance?
this, like when we talk about during the pandemic times or even otherwise, these are two cases. One is not firing somebody for not appropriate performance. And another is downsizing the team because the team does not need so many people now, or maybe because it is more dependent on technology, and so the work is automatically being done. And so how do we identify and how do we not take the guilt of this?
Yeah, the simple answer is you don't become guilty when you do what is right. If you don't do what is right, you will feel guilty, and you deserve to feel guilty. And you will have no sympathy from me or from the Lord himself. If you don't do what is right, you deserve to feel guilty. And you should burn in hell. But
no, I don't think so. This is true.
but
when we talk about,
okay, so if it is somebody who is not performing consistently well, okay, not meeting the standards, then you follow what Peter Drucker's advice is. Have you heard of Peter Drucker? According to me, one of the mankind's greatest thinkers. He's the ultimate management guru. Okay, he lived till the age of almost 100, I think. He's a towering intellect. All of us have grown up on Drucker. Peter Drucker once said very famously, and this is something that stuck with me. He says, when somebody is not performing and delivering results, despite your counseling, despite your guidance, despite all the training and development that you've invested, and the clarity and the support that you have given over a period of time, he's still not performing, then he's not in the right place. It is better for him and it is better for you to shake hands and go your separate ways. It's better for him. Because when he's not delivering, see, typically what happens in a review, suppose he's a salesperson who's never achieving his targets despite all the things that you have done with him, for him, together. Okay, he's not achieving his targets. And month after month in the review, okay, XYZ, what's your performance? Okay, 60% of target. All the others are 85, 90, 100, and constantly he's the lowest performer. And then what do you say? Hey, this month also you didn't do what you're supposed to do. And everybody is seeing that you haven't done it. And all his peers also are seeing. So isn't he getting humiliated month after month after month in that conference hall during the review? Imagine what it's, see, that he's got into this negative cycle of self-esteem being attacked. Every time when it comes to review, his heart rate goes up. He's absent. He's not thinking straight. He has hypertension. You're pushing him into type 2 diabetes because of stress, because it's too stressful for him to come for that review, because he knows he's not achieved this target. He's not able to achieve it also, despite everything. So under such circumstances, shake hands, maybe give him 1 month salary, 2 months salary, 3 months salary, whatever amount of salary months, shake hands with him and wish him well. That's it. Okay. Now the other part about downsizing, when this is leadership, I know many organizations who have had zero business during the pandemic, but have kept every single person on the rolls and paid their salaries. Suppose you do that, what happens? Just think of it from the employee's point of view. There's been no business, okay? No revenue, sales is zero, but everybody's salaries have been paid. Think of it. If I tell you to invest in a plant and machinery, you will jump at it and say, yeah, I'll put 20%, then 80% I'll get it financed from the bank. I'll have a 5 crore investment, and that will be paid over a month, over 5 years. You have no issues, because you can see a tangible equipment and machine which creates revenue, right? But suppose I say, this 1 year salary that you have paid is an investment. Suppose you think like that. What is the employee? What are the employees and their families thinking if you paid their salaries for 1 year? How will it be?
Agreed, absolutely.
So you got the answer.
Yes.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. Now I guess our chairperson Meetu Kohli also has questions.
I think Jyoti wants to ask first. Let her ask first. Jyoti, where are you? Yeah.
I can't see her name. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Jyoti, you can ask, please.
Hi, Float team, and sir, you are a wonderful speaker. जब हम भगवत गीता की बात करते हैं, कृष्ण इतने बड़े विचारक हैं कि कृष्ण लोगों के व्यवहार में, आचार में, उनके संस्कार में सबको वो प्रभावित कर देते हैं, और फिर भी वो कई पात्रों को या उनकी सोच को अंत तक नहीं बदल पाए। और इसी चीज को हम जब आज के परिदृश्य में टटोलें तो हमको भी ये चीज, एम्प्लॉय रिटेंशन, जो विभा भी अभी बात कर रही थी, लेकिन विभा डाउनसाइजिंग की बात कर रही थी, एम्प्लॉय रिटेंशन यानी या किसी स्किल का रिटेंशन इतना डिफिकल्ट है। अभी आपने कहा आप 1 साल तक उसको सैलरी देते रहें, शायद उसका सेंटिमेंट चेंज होगा, लेकिन ऐसे भी लोग हैं यहाँ जो रेस के बाद कंपनी को छोड़ते हैं। अभी मार्च में उनको रेज मिलने वाला है, या अप्रेजल मिलने वाला है, या बोनसेस मिलने वाले हैं, तो वो बोनस पूरा कलेक्ट करके और दूसरे दिन छोड़ते हैं। तो ये मनोभाव कैसे बदला जाए, या ये जो चरित्र में बदलाव की जरूरत है, सेंटिमेंट में बदलाव की जरूरत है, ये गायब है।
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Completely agree. What you're saying is so true. So there's this again a very cliched HR principle: hire for attitude, train for skill. Because attitudes can't be changed, skill profile can be changed by training. Attitudes are very difficult to change. So let's go a little deeper into that. Go beyond attitude. Look at character profile. If that character profile matches with what you're expecting, hire the person. Then skills you can add on later. So yes, if you see now, if I ask you, this is an exercise I always ask people to do sometimes, most of the time. Suppose you have, say, 50 people or 100 people, and I say, identify the 20 people you will retain under all circumstances. Just suppose I say, tomorrow you can only have 20 people. Which are those 20 people? If you look like that, then you'll find that those 20 people are not necessarily the most skilled people. They will probably be the most reliable people, whom you can trust, whom you can depend upon, right? So the suggestion I have is make it very difficult for anybody to join you and your company. Don't fill a position just because a position became vacant and you have a delivery deadline. If you do that, this difficulty which you are talking about, you will constantly face it, because see, many of these, especially IT professionals, are what I call professional mercenaries. Many of them. Even, okay, I can tell you from my own experience that top level management guys are very glamorous, okay, but character sorely lacking. So a guy who's paid 3 crores a year as CFO, attitude is, यहाँ पे 3 साल काम करूंगा, जैसे भी हो, कुछ भी करके मैं 3 साल यहाँ पे रहूंगा, 9 करोड़ बन जाएंगे मेरे, 3 crores per annum, right? With that 9 crores, I will safely take care of my family. उसके बाद to hell with the company, यार मैं जाऊंगा. I don't care. A lot of guys have this mindset because 9 crores is big money, right? I don't care what happens to the company. My family's financial security, I will guarantee with my 9 crores. I will do whatever it takes to protect my job for 3 years. After that, then I'll see. A lot of people think like this. So that's why I'm saying, when you're recruiting, you have to be extremely careful about the mindset and character of the people you are recruiting, because they are going to make or break your business. Just because you need a skill and you need a project to be completed, don't take somebody. I mean, you may sometimes do that because the pressure is very high. But if you do that, this danger is there. Like, my father was a very famous writer. Every child in Kerala has grown up on his work. He has written 53 books, all bestsellers. It's a master storyteller. So he once told me a fantastic, example, which I want to quote with you. You take this huge bucket of milk, huge, maybe it has some 50, 60 liters, 100 liters. You just have to put one drop of lime juice into it, right? And this principle holds good even in families, marriage, partnerships, so on and so forth. So at the point of recruitment is when you have to exercise a lot of care about whom you are bringing into the family. And a lot of the time, people who come for interviews are always on their best behavior, right? They're always trying to impress you. They are always going to show you their best sides. That's where interviewing, psychometrics, reference checks, discussions, assignments, these are all very important to do.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Very true. Me too. Yes, please.
I had a very, very simple question, which says that if we don't have desires, how do we compete? Why do we aspire then? Why do we work hard? Why do we, that greed, those desires?
Greed.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? So that's
I'm
the one.
saying
That's the killer one. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Because I think the desires are the force behind which make us work hard. We have aspirations. So if that is not there, what's the reason to achieve? Why?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I understand. So let's take a step back and understand. You're talking about motivation to work, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What is the motivation then?
Yeah. So the definition of motivation. Let's take the technical definition of motivation. I told you earlier during my talk, my lecture, comes from the Latin movere. That which moves from within is motivation. So something within you is driving you, right? Something from inside is the one that's driving you. What is that something? So people always ask me, hey, Madhav, can you come and give a motivational speech? I always turn around and say, hey, boss, I don't do motivational speeches because you know what? I can't motivate anyone. Motivation is purely from within. You, by the way, as a manager, you cannot motivate anyone, okay? Mamta, you are not going to be able to motivate anyone because motivation is always from within.
No, but we can ignite that passion. We can ignite that passion.
Yeah. How do you do that? You can inspire somebody.
Yeah.
Right? You can inspire somebody with your own behavior, your mindset, your skill profile, the way you are. You can inspire somebody. Somebody who's inspirational can motivate the person. So you have to be inspirational for somebody to be motivated.
Right.
But the root of motivation is something within you that drives you. What is that? You got to discover that. And me too, if you really do a detailed introspection, you'll find it is not a big house. It is not a big car or a holiday in Switzerland that really drives you. you'll find there are much deeper things there which drives you. And that is your purpose. If you discover that, my God, who you'll be. Wow. I'll have to take your autograph 10 times over. You got to discover that which drives you inside.
You've given me homework today. You can continue now, please, I think.
Yeah, so see, now we have really we are running short of time, but I have one last question. You have been mentoring a wide range of women, a wide range of people from diverse verticals. Can you also give a few mantras to our women entrepreneurs and professionals for their businesses? You have already told quite a few, but just summary 2-3 points that they can carry home.
Yeah, I think women make natural leaders because their DNA is to nurture and nourish. So women have, in my experience, I have really believed that women can make fantastic leaders because you have clarity of thought, and I think, I mean, it's not right to generalize, but I think the commitment to values is probably more ingrained in women. I think more value oriented. But here's the question I want to ask you: whether you're a male or female or whatever, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, are you a good leader? How good a leader are you is important. But for women in particular, I have a question. Okay, I always ask this to women. And I'm not being sexist or anything, but it's a question which I want to throw at you for introspection. Our society, and indeed many societies worldwide, have certain stereotypes of women in their mind and society, okay? And we have to break them. Like I do a lot of stuff on military leadership stuff. And I'm extremely happy to see that Indian Air Force has 10 women fighter pilots. I believe women should be given the highest responsibilities. I am committed to that and I really believe that. But here's a question for all of you. You are somebody's daughter. You're somebody's sister. You're somebody's wife. You're somebody's mother. But who are you? Are you defining yourself? Is your identity defined by these roles? Or do you have a clear view of yourself as a human being? If you develop that view of yourself as a human being, then you will be able to do whatever roles you want to do beautifully well, because you have an identity of your own. You have defined your identity, you're clear about your identity, and that, I think, is the key to self-esteem and internal security. And just remember, the key to your internal security lies with you. It's not going to come from anyone outside, whoever may be. And if we are able to answer this question, who am I? What is my purpose? Then each one of us, I think, will be very strong inside. And as women, you have this natural advantage of being very strong inside. Build on that. That's my answer.
Yeah, thank you, sir. See, I would also like to tell you that Mr. Madhav Mohan has also very generously agreed for one individual mentoring session to 2 Flow women entrepreneurs. They will be selected based on predefined criteria. Those interested can send their names to me or to Anupama. Thank you so much. Over to you, Rashmi.
Sir, are you going to ask your questions? Are we taking that still, the yes and no answer one?
Oh yeah, if you want. I mean, if you have time.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Mitu, what do you think?
I think we can skip them now because they were part of the session.
Sure.
Yeah, we had so many questions anyway.
Yes,
we've already had so many questions.
Okay, great. All right, grateful for your insights, Madhav Mohanji. That was indeed a spellbinding session, and it is now clear why the Bhagavad Gita is an inspiration to many and connects us to Krishna consciousness for business management, and how we are just instruments and he is the doer. Finishing post the questions from what the Gita says. It is better to live your own destiny imperfectly than to live an imitation of somebody else's life with perfection. Simply put, हम दूसरों के पैरों से भाग नहीं सकते और दूसरों की आंखों से देख नहीं सकते. I would like to now invite our Senior Vice Chairperson, Ms. Payal Agarwal, for the vote of thanks. Payal.
Thank you, Rashmi. I think I have no words, sir. Wow. I think that was one of its kind session. A huge round of applause, everyone, please. As rightly quoted in our Bhagavad Gita, no one should abandon duties because he sees defects in them. Every action, every activity is surrounded by defects, as fire is surrounded by smoke. Be the change you wish to see. Good evening, all. As all good things come to an end in life, so is the session. On behalf of FICCI Flow Indore team, myself, Payal Agarwal, Senior Vice Chairperson, take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks to our esteemed guest this evening, Mr. Madhav Mohan, and all those who have directly and indirectly contributed to this event. Sir, it was indeed a remarkable session, and we are truly enlightened by your unique style of imparting knowledge through citing verses from the Holy Bhagavad Gita. Madhavji, it will be a great privilege for those who will get an opportunity to get one-on-one mentoring from you. We are very grateful for the same. Thank you for all your knowledge and your presence shared today. We are hopeful that your innovative mentoring methodology will surely enable us as individuals and our organization in achieving exciting results. At the outset, I would also like to thank our patron sponsor, Mrs. Archana Agarwal, Timeless Jewelry by Archana Agarwal, Delhi. Our gold sponsors, Blue Threads, Stylish Menswear, Styling Men by Neha Bhargav. Digi Perform Digital Marketing Training by Devika Madhok. Dimensions Furniture and Lifestyle Store, adding panache to your living Indore. Our silver sponsors, Libra Biotech by Ragini Shirali, Anusha Couture by Anusha Jaisinghani, Lavanya by Anju Bidasaria, Gunjan Creations by Gunjan Bhargav, Crown Rice by Aarti Marva Ludhiana, Creative and Digital Partners, The Emerging Ray, Skincare and Gifting Partner Kimirika, Travel Partner CTC by Sheena Kasliwal, Photography Partner I Wonder Years by Bhavisha Kothari, Beauty Partners Mansi Beauty Parlor by Unnati Singh, our Social Initiative Partner Robin Hood Army, Education and Learning Partner Daily College Business School, and a big thank you to the press for covering us so generously always. Our heartfelt thanks to our members for their active participation, and not to forget, we are glad to acknowledge the winners for our Know Your Sponsors quiz. The winners are Aditi Agarwal, Avika Shadija, Shruti Purohit, Manisha Garg, Rachna Mittal, and Ranu Gupta. Congratulations to all the winners. Please note your gifts will reach your doorstep soon, and do not forget to take a picture and tag FICCI Flow Indore on social media once you receive them. Looking forward to a grand success of all our forthcoming events with all our members showing the same fervor. And members, we have something exciting coming up soon in our next event. We'll share the details as soon as possible. A special thanks to an honorable chairperson and the organizing committee for their unflinching support, motivation, and coordination. With these warm words and a kind message, we move to the end of today's event. Thank you. Stay safe, everyone. See you soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye. I'll take your leave. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.